Hi, everybody. So I hope you're all hearing me okay. Just let me know if the mic is all good, or even if the mic isn't all good, as long as it works and you can hear me, I'm pretty happy. I want to go through a few bits for the crack. So just a couple of notes. I know it's late, but it's a bank holiday and there's a pandemic. So, I thought people, like I said last time, I think people might be up that bit later or whatever. And I seem to have this habit of kind of getting the idea to start one at about 9 o'clock, but then I kind of get little bits of material together and it's erring on the later side. And then I don't want to not do it, so I do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'll try to get better at that. Um, so okay, you're saying it's all good sound wise and stuff. Um, I know Green Room is a mod and a few others are, and just to make a quick note, and I don't want to like dwell on this or even in the chat, don't bother dwelling on this too much, but just well, actually, never mind. I'm gonna DM I'm gonna DM Green Room something in a sec. Sorry, that was a bad way to start because I was about to ask you something, but you know what? I want to keep it. I don't want to keep. It's a little silly thing to do with the chat and people who are blocked and unblocked and all this stuff that I want to sort out because I know. Anyway, that's not what I do this for. I don't want to be worrying about that too much. I just want to talk to you. But so yeah. What else is there to note? I shaved. Shave or no shave? But the question that is always the question. But apparently the coronavirus molecules will get caught in your beard, so shaving it. So yeah, so that's the crack with me. I've just a few bits to talk about. So I want to start by going through new figures for the virus because it's hard to talk about anything else in a way. Really, it feels weird to talk about something else. So I will go through the new figures. I just want to kind of talk about some daily updates that have occurred on coronavirus. Then I want to go to the pub video because if you don't know, I posted on Twitter last night a video. I had a little interaction with a bouncer outside Molly Malone's pub in. I look 3 months younger. Someone says without the beard. Thanks, but yeah, I went down to Temple Bar the night before last for just a little while, just because I'd seen these videos of Temple Bar being in full flight, despite like viral spread. And I just took a few videos, kind of being like, "This is ridiculous," and with the idea of maybe a little bit of element of social shaming, like you don't need to be out here. This isn't necessary anyway. And then the next night, so last night, I went down again, just curious because there had been an announcement of a kind of a government request slash kind of obligation, whatever, for pubs to shut. So I went down to see what Temple Bar would look like, quiet, and I found a pub open. Actually, I'll show it to you in a second, greater detail. But anyway, I had a little bit of interaction there, and that tweet, I don't know if it went viral. I don't know if I'd quite say that, but it went. What did it get? I don't know, something like 150 odd thousand views, and it got a couple of thousand interactions of all descriptions. So it basically went kind of viral. And so, given that I was in that, I should talk about it here. And that's just for those who aren't on Twitter who wouldn't have seen that, and for those who are, I can kind of talk about what went on before and after that, and why it happened and stuff. Then I want to talk about what else. I just want to go through this. I talked about it the last time a little bit, which is this whole idea of the mainstream media now versus the whole WhatsApp rumor thing, and there's this dichotomy starting now in the information war between establishment and, let's say, organic or unregulated or whatever you want to call it. A little bit more conversation on that, a little bit more about the whole conspiracy theory thing, whether that's true or not or whatever. Just kind of it relates to that whole thing. Which also Dave Cullen's video, his latest video on the dangers of denial, I think it's called, is really good. I just have to mention that. And then finally, I want to go through the latest Burkean video, which is I think it's a 10-minute video. I haven't watched it. So it's a short one. So I'll try to keep this a lot shorter than I did the last one I did, the last video I did, which went on way too long. I can keep it a bit shorter than that. So yeah. Oh, and one more thing, if you don't mind, sorry lads, because I couldn't do it until the actual stream went live. I want to just tweet out a link to this. I have a draft saved, and I just kind of have to do that. So I hope you're all well and you're not dying. and all that kind of stuff. There we go. Sorry, I got him. And talking to myself back on my phone. Yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't know. It seemed quieter yesterday than it was today. Actually, I noticed around the place, which is kind of weird. It's such a strange time. Such a strange time. So I want to just take a look at the YouTube page now. Are you all there? You're all well. Happy days. Okay, so they kind of. Someone says last three Gail says we'll have about 70 cases tomorrow. Yeah, I just want to go through some of the figures from this kind of press conference that the HSE and basically the HSE had today at around 9 o'clock, and it was delayed. It was meant to be on at 6, I think, and then it was 8, and then it was 9. So one could suspect that that's some form of consternation, maybe internally, or confusion going on. Which, excuse me, I hope this cough isn't dry. It's happening, but it's just an itch in my throat, I swear. You can't get it through a camera anyway, don't worry. But yeah, so it started late and that was a bit weird. But anyway, the news is 54 new cases, which is a lot more new cases, right? So it's growing. As far as I know, we're on the same growth curve as Italy is or was, with the appropriate time lag built into it, because they obviously got their first case first before us. So it was 54 new cases today, bringing the total to 223. The model projections by the Department of Health officials are that we are likely to see around 78 new cases confirmed tomorrow, 109 on Wednesday, and 355 by Sunday. And I think the lead guy, Holohan, said that 355 cases on Sunday, and then just expecting that, or I suppose higher maybe, on from there. It's not going to crash after Sunday. It's 355 and greater as we go on, and 15,000 by the end of the month. So that's the end of March, they're saying. Now that's a big curve. I hope I've misunderstood that. I don't think I have. So you have to be very careful, because now we're going to have the WhatsApp rumor police and all of that going after us, which I'll be talking about in a second. So I have to be careful not to make unfounded claims. But yeah, you can look up that up yourself. 15,000 by the end of the month, which is a lot. There's no expectation of short-term let-up. They were asked about that. So the idea of, is this all going to be behind us in a few weeks or a few months? And he was saying, it's not going to be a few weeks, we expect. It's not going to be a few months. Could even be next year. Don't make any plans, for this to go away very quickly. And they're talking about 50%, or is it 60%? I think it was 50% of the population are going to get it. It's this whole herd immunity thing. I've talked about this already. But, that's kind of the basic crack with the news on that for today. Now, what was I going to get on to next? So there's some other little bits as well. So Croke Park is going to be opened up as a drive-through testing clinic, which is going to be interesting. I wonder what that's going to exactly be like. But yeah, when you see stadiums being opened up for like use for emergencies, you start to feel like you're diving into some kind of Hollywood film, or 28 Days Later or something like that. I actually watched Outbreak last night. And that is, I've seen Contagion as well. I imagine a lot of you have watched that, which is a kind of modern, kind of chic virus film, pandemic film. And just to see Outbreak was really funny, because it's a very 90s film. Not to spoil anything, but it's the same idea. There's a pandemic, blah, blah, blah. It comes into America, military shutdown. And like the lead act, Dustin Hoffman, who is both trying to find the cure for the virus, kind of thing, and he's the kind of guy who's, from the start he's saying, you need to listen to me, that kind of thing, and they're not listening to him. But at the same time, he ends up in a helicopter chase with like two other helicopters like battling each other toward the end, as like in the third act, with Cuba Gooding Jr. beside him. You're just kind of thinking, this is too much. It's very 90s, very like only could be the 90s, just a different sensibility or a different time. It's mad. But yeah, someone says watch Contagion. Contagion is, as they go, good. It's made for the time. It's a modern film. Insofar as capturing pandemic stuff, that's it. Now, one thing, and I'll be getting onto this in a second, what I found interesting about Contagion, and I'm not necessarily going down the whole Hollywood trying to manipulate people and all this kind of stuff, but I don't know what the agenda is or any of this, but just putting that aside, I just noticed an interesting theme of in that movie where there's the Jude Law guy, and he's kind of like an online. He's basically doing what I'm doing now. He's meant to be almost like some kind of weird like 2012 version of what I'm doing now. Saturday, like he's got a blog online, the truth about this and that or whatever, and he's this journalist guy, and he's or journalist, a blogger, and he's selling this. He's kind of flogging the whole idea that there's this herbal cure, some kind of cure, and it turns out at the end he was a fraud and a charlatan. And I just found that interesting that a Hollywood movie would be pitching that guy as like that, which is meant to represent all forms of independent media or organic online platforms and stuff like that, or whatever. Just found that interesting that they put him in like that. Then all the other archetypes that you have, there's that doctor who comes up with the cure, or of some sort, the woman who injects herself, all of the WHO are like these heroes, like, unblemished heroes. They have no flaws. There's no corruption of any real sort there going on. In particular, the worst thing is that the what's his name, Lawrence Fishburne, tells his wife when he shouldn't have, a little faux pas. But it's the blogger guy who is the complete charlatan and fraud, and actually harms a lot of people and hurts a lot of people. Fits exactly with what a liberal journalist or something like that would tell you. But anyway, that's him. So what else was there? Yeah, there's Crow Park. Then there's the testing clinic thing, which I have here somewhere. So in case you haven't seen this, I'm going to screen share it. Just for those of you who have, whatever. It's a video that was taken by the HSE going through their testing facility in the Midlands, and it's just a bit, I suppose, in the spirit of Hollywood movie and stuff, it's a bit like that, this whole kind of lockdown tent, kind of disinfectant, pitched tent outside a hospital kind of testing thing. It's kind of mad. So, okay, I need to play this, but I'm not screen shared yet. So let's do that first. And of course, I need to use the mic again to make you hear this.
So this is the Midlands testing clinic. People waiting to be tested arrive, where they're interviewed by one of our paramedics. He will then present them with a mask and give them the information of what's going on. We have a water generator running to give hot, disinfectant water. So when the patients arrive, they then go to the hand washing station. They're given instructions on how to do their 20-second hand wash. Then placed in the clinical waste bags, dried, and brought to the interview, where the receptionist will then take the details, do observations if necessary, and then give them instruction on moving to the next swabbing room. They'll then be asked to blow their nose and discard it in the clinical waste bag. The team here then will do the swabbing in one of the cubicles provided and give any more information required through the home testing. As you see, the unit is heated and lights provided. All clinical waste is being put in clinical waste beds and being collected at the end of the shift.
So basically that's that. That's not some big expose or anything. Clearly they made that video for consumption. It's not some big expose. It's just, I don't know, I saw that. I kind of found it interesting to see. So I kind of get rid of that. Now, what is the next thing I want to be getting onto? So yeah, that's basically that. Now let's have a look at the Temple Bar thing. I don't know how many of you in the chat have seen the Temple Bar thing. Maybe if you're on, I imagine if you're on Twitter, maybe you saw it. And it's a divisive topic, I would say. I can imagine some people giving out to me or other people supporting me. I think among the broad population, most people kind of support me on it or whatever, right? People were like, yeah, slay queen, slay king type of thing, It wasn't unpopular. But, whatever. So, yeah, Serena Irvine says she's seen the security guard, yeah. He was a bit of a prick, yeah. So for those who don't know, yeah, like I described to you earlier, I went into Temple Bar when they were basically meant to be shut down, and there were signs on all the doors of the main pubs in Temple Bar saying we shut down due to government kind of advice or requirements or whatever. We're shutting down our Gran Torino showed it last night, nice one. They're shutting down pubs, and this one pub was open. And what happened basically is that, I'll give you the prelude and then you'll see what happens. Is I went up to this pub, I saw it was full, and I went, Jesus Christ, right? And I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it. I probably would have posted it. I just was taking a video in the window to just be like, just like a 10-second video. I don't really narrate my stuff. I'm too kind of shy for that. And I took the video in the window, and then the bouncer kind of came at me about it, you know. And the funny thing is that it wouldn't have been a big deal if he had just not said anything. Really, it's not his problem. Kind of silly. Because had I just taken that video and put it up, what, 20 likes and a bit of conversation about it, no, not a huge deal. It's not that much to see there. I suppose it's bad in and of itself, but he really characterized the whole thing a little bit and made it worse. And I do think it was bad that they were doing that. I think you know my position. I don't think people should be out. It's one thing to say, oh, I don't need to be locked away at home. But if like being on the piss, trying to get laid by some like drunk person, and having to get pissed to have any, I'm not into all that so much. If that's your excuse, like, that's not good. Like, it's one thing shopping, it's one thing meeting a few friends to chill out and talk or whatever. But the idea that 100 people or whatever it is need to get together in like a sweaty, steamy, like, like you can almost feel the breath being exchanged inside the window of this pub. The idea that that's what you need to do, go on in, fuck off, basically. Now, a warning. Someone says the bouncer is just doing his job. I don't think he was doing his job actually there at all. Who says that? EJF. I mean, I've never heard of that being a bouncer's job. I was just taking a video. I'm kind of giving all my spiel. I'm kind of blowing it before I show you the video. And those who don't know are probably like, just play it. I'll play it. But the one issue is, and I forgot to mention it originally, is that it contains strobe lighting. And if you haven't seen it, you'll be like, what the hell is this about? It contains strobe lighting. And so if you're epileptic, just look away, right? I don't want you foaming at the mouth in the chat. Let me share my screen. Sorry, now. Shared screen. There we go. So.
Is that illegal? Yeah, it is illegal. What law is that? Oh, my law, they're working here. It's your law? There, yeah. Look, it's smart,
let's go back to the sec because the volume was low there.
Yeah, grand, yeah. I'm taking a video to stop this. Is that illegal? Yeah, it is illegal. What law is that? Oh, my law, they're working here. It's your law? There, yeah. Look, it's smart, huh? Enjoying themselves? Yeah. Spreading coronavirus, yeah? Yeah, I mean, how are you worried about? You're not in there, so you won't get it. And old people can die from this, yeah? Oh. Not young people. It's on the label. Huh? I'm old and I shouldn't get it. So I should worry about that. Yeah, you're full of shit. It's dangerous. Yeah, grand, yeah.
Okay, so that's that. So that was the video. I suppose I'm interested in your thoughts on it. I suppose I am. Because, save your eyes. Oh, really? YouTube on dark mode. Someone is telling me to do that. I have to get that off the screen, the strobe. It's actually given me epilepsy as well. God, it's still looking at me here. I have to change the tab. Christ almighty. And as it happens, I was for a few minutes, I'm not like crying about it, but for a few minutes afterwards, I had spots in my eyes and stuff because I drove through Dublin, like, and so I had to get back in my car to move on and leave because it was kind of getting late, and I had to take a few minutes. I'm not gonna there's no lawsuits coming, don't worry, but just anyway, here's the thing. What you can see in the video is that I'm recording in the window, right? I'm not even close to like anyone. I'm not pointing it right in someone's face. For one, it's just a general thing in the pub. His thing about that's illegal and that's my law, of course, that's bollocks, right? That's not the case at all. You're completely allowed, obviously, to public or film on a street in the public, right? The other thing I would have to say about that is if he was saying, oh, there's no problem, people having a bit of fun and all this, right? I made my point about the coronavirus. You know my argument there. But here's my thing. If you fully believe as pub man or whatever, if you fully believe that like they're just having a bit of fun and it's not a big deal and somehow I'm not going to get it, which is not how viruses work, right? And global viruses don't work like you're not in the pub, you're not going to get it. Fucking hell. But even so, even if that's fully his position and he's fully convinced of it, and I'm just being silly, right? And the whole country agrees with probably him. I'm probably in the wrong. I'm probably just a nagger and a kind of a busybody. Well, why can't I take a video of the pub then? If I had come up to the pub last month, middle of the night, people are having a good time. I take out my camera, I go like that. What would you expect? He's taking a video of the pub. People are having a good time. Like he said, it's just people are having a good time. What's the big deal? It's very strange that you would take out a thing and flash it in someone's face in a costume and say you can't take. It's kind of the thing where someone says, cut this, cut this, cut this, cut this. No. Is this off? That's what happens. It's a total giveaway sign of controversy, internalized controversy. There's something wrong with what you're doing, right? And of course there is. They were clearly taking advantage of it, and it's just not good, and it's gone beans, and I don't know. And someone said to me today as well, because I had lots of people getting onto me. Like I say, that tweet had lots of attention on it and stuff. How many views does it have? Loads, right? But if someone, so I had people messaging me all sorts of ideas and suggestions and their point of view. It was Molly Malone's pub, the Walshy boy, and Molly Malone's just off Temple Bar, kind of in Temple Bar. I'm not sure what the strict definition of the place is, but so someone, just one random person who got into my DM said to me, you should report the bouncer, because a lot of people are saying, what a prick of a bouncer, like what a textbook arsehole of a bouncer. You should report him to so-and-so for like being rude to you, flashing a light in your eyes, telling you you're breaking the law when you're not, whatever, just being silly. And I was just kind of thinking, like, whatever it is I do here, like, I didn't get into YouTubing or journalism or activism to be coming after bouncers. If it's anything, it's the bar people who own it, Gone Beans. I can't speculate them, obviously, for like reasons of not wanting to defame or libel anyone, and I genuinely don't know them, but I'm just speaking about pubs generally. Often people who own pubs, I'm sure most of you don't own a pub, right? You're not in that world. A lot of people who own a pub might own a few different assets or whatever. So they might be doing very well, they might be over leveraged, and actually I feel like I'm being safe by kind of speculating about them. I don't want to talk about them, but you know what I mean. Those, like, clearly trying to squeeze one last night's rev or of a till. I just thought it's pretty bad. And you can again, my point is just differentiating the bouncer from and he was a fucking arsehole. Like, I mean, I'm not denying that. Just in terms of this kind of, I felt like it today because I could be going off on the endorphin thing about getting lots of likes and attention, and some people saying, well done for standing up to all that. Loads of endorphins on show there available. I may have indulged a bit, but it is weird as well to be in the driver's seat of a feeding frenzy. There, just a side note, it's very weird because you should be enjoying it, you should be getting a rush off it, and there's something I don't like about it. The bouncer was an asshole. The pub is a Gombean, or the pub is clearly acting on Gombean instincts, right? And I wouldn't mind the pub paying a price for this in some way, if the market decided, right? But just regardless of all the ins and outs, the technicalities, the morality of it, there's just something kind of disturbing to me about a feeding frenzy. The way wolves do. And most of the people who replied to it were nice, and they agreed with me, and they were right. But there is just an element of that kind of thing going where, because it's almost like I was in the position as someone who is on the kind of right and a nationalist and all that. You're very much often forced to be in the unpopular position because it's what you believe. Just doesn't happen to be popular these days. It's not popular these days, or well, it kind of is, but it's suppressed or whatever. You get used to taking that kind of that side, you know what I mean, where you have to face up against all this. I would say it's top down, but this kind of opprobrium, I think, is the word. And you see the other guys in their comfortable position of like making an easy. They can try to make a villain out of you and all of that, and kind of being in a full-on driver's seat position, the good guy, the whatever, in a feeding frenzy. is very weird. And I have to say it's disconcerting, and I didn't quite enjoy it. I feel like I'm always destined to be on the kind of the other side of things, which is not a point of being on the other side of things just to be a contrarian or just to be unpopular, just to be, angsty or whatever. It's not that. I believe what I do for logical reasons, for moral reasons, but it's just there's something. I almost feel like I would never be comfortable in the position of like you having a mob completely behind you and the smaller guy on the other side. In a way, not that the pub was the smaller guy, but it just gave me a weird insight because I was like, wow, I have every normal Joe Soap in the country or Jane Soap being like, yeah, totally, like they should suffer, that bouncer should suffer, this person should suffer. And I almost don't agree with them when it comes to the pub. Like I say, I'm not saying it's not a big deal. Do you get me? Am I going on too much about the pub? I'm just giving you my thoughts, lads. That's all I'm trying to do. But yeah, I just found that interesting. Now, should a pub be open? Of course not. It's just like you're a pub. Like if am I a control freak? Maybe, but maybe they shouldn't be open in the first place. Poisoning our people and like overpricing for tourists and selling Ireland as an idea, and people like getting shit faced all over Temple Bar. Just go to Temple Bar some night. It's absolutely rank. So they shouldn't be open at the best of times. So I don't take much convincing. You don't need a pandemic to shut those pubs down, from my point of view. So that's where I'm at. So that was him. So I should go back to screen share a little bit now because I want to share a few more bits with you. Don't be boring, Garrod. Look at some cool stuff. Okay, so I just want to briefly just go through a few blue checkmarkisms. And blue checkmarks at the moment, it's a big meme. They're talking about WhatsApp misinformation or whatever. I'm not even getting into the ins and outs of like whether a certain thing on WhatsApp is true or not true or whatever, or the morality of it in too much detail. What I'm talking about is the fact that there's a million things happen at once, right? In terms of news and media and all of this stuff, right? I mean, they could be talking about my asylum industry thing ad nauseum in terms of the level of controversy or whatever. They could be talking about elder care. I don't know, a million things, right? Could be going on. Powerful people doing big things. Johnny Ronan and his development or this or that. And they do a bit, right? But they isolated little stories. But sometimes what you will see is over a few days is the tastemakers and the kind of the liberal journalists kind of set just kind of going off on this like week long. Sometimes it extends for longer. Look at something like Russiagate, right? That went on in America for a long, long time. It varies in time, but you see this extended period of time where there's a concerted, concentrated, almost seems coordinated in some fashion, narrative drive. And at the moment, it's WhatsApp, rumors. Now, to me, in an objective sense, talking about news, like I say, there's always a million different things going on at any given time, especially now with Corona. There's so many different aspects to it, and yet there seems to be this this big thing. Walshy is saying he hasn't heard about the WhatsApp thing. I mean, maybe you have to be a little bit of a news follower, that kind of way. So maybe it is a little bit of a bubble thing, but these things do leak out over time, and they do affect public policy too. These things will affect public policy when the public, in a certain sense, maybe the average public might not have heard about it, and they won't hear about maybe legislation that happens on the back of it either. It'll all happen. It all happens within a small set. I just happen to be someone who maybe pays attention to it, or maybe I'm in a bubble. I'm willing to admit that. I don't know, but I'm seeing it a lot, from all of these blue check marks. Loads of them. I've only a few here, and they're all deeply concerned about this WhatsApp misinformation. Now, you're a journalist. Look, you can spread whatever information you want. You're given a platform by some corporation or another. Spread your information. You're the one with the big, massive platform, right? Go for it. But they seem to be obsessed with the information from others. And again, I'm not saying that the media should not correct a falsehood in going around WhatsApp. That happens. Publish an article, say this actually wasn't true. But then they go off on a big political agenda to say it is an issue. We need to do something about it. We need to whatever, which is more than just correcting a WhatsApp rumor that's incorrect. They're going off. They're taking an agenda, running an agenda, right? To say they're trying to brew this thing up. So Ireland's WhatsApp. This is from Suzanne Lynch. Who's she now? They're all kind of similar enough to me. So she's Washington Post, right? So it's happening in America too. So in the same way as, let's say, Russiagate, right, which turned out to be, of course, kind of dreamt up out of basically nowhere, right, the entire time. Um, Washington Post are doing a big thing on it, so it's international as well. It's not just Ireland, and it's all about WhatsApp. I mean, there's rumors going on other apps too, but they're focusing on WhatsApp, in my mind, to keep it quite simple. WhatsApp, 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 and that is the most popular one, of course. Misinformation issue, evidently an issue here in the US too. She's phrased that quite badly. Update expected from the White House this afternoon amid expectations that new measures will be announced. Okay, so whatever. So we go to Christine Bowen. She's with the Journal. It's hard to overstate how many rumors are being shared on WhatsApp right now about the coronavirus. I'm running our debunking project, and the volume and spread of it is like nothing I've ever seen in Ireland. So these people are spending their day going through WhatsApp. You know, look, if there's a rumor big enough that it's actually taking hold among like a significant amount of the population, I suppose that makes sense. Just write an article and go, this isn't true for this reason. We have a variety of sources. It's just absolutely not true. But what they're saying, they're going looking for them now. So they're not only, it might not just be the big ones, it might be the small ones going through. They're going on a hunt for misinformation on WhatsApp. That's kind of the difference to my mind. The other thing is there's just something about rumors to me. Again, China implemented this thing of anti-rumor and all this kind of stuff, right? Which of course they were using to crack down on dissent against them in any way, or their measures or whatever. Now, if you think Ireland won't do that in some way, you're silly. Actually, you're, to use the term racist, it is a little bit. There's an element of like, oh, well, over here, we are the center of the world, and Ireland and the West is neutral world, and everything else is an aberration from it, is some kind of corrupt tin pot thing or propaganda or 1984 or whatever. But in the West, we're different. We don't have this kind of hackneyed propaganda and stuff the same way. The only difference is ours is far more sophisticated, but we will have the same instincts, forces, phenomenons of nature at play, right? If given space for it, right? And that's why I make these arguments in the first place, because it's important to, I think, at least be skeptical. You can call me wrong on this, you can call me misreading it or something, but I just think it's important to think about at least. So yeah, they're obsessing over this rumor thing, and I said it in my last stream as well. There's just something about this rumor obsession. It's kind of control freakism. It's like you know there's going to be I'm only seeing. Are you seeing my screen share here? Okay, guys. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit disturbed. Oh yeah, okay. It's all good as far as I can see. Sorry. It's all good, I think. So like, you know, like, okay, so you have these apps, you have WhatsApp, you have whatever, you have the internet, and before that you had people writing things on post-its or whatever you want, right? Writing each other letters and notes and magazines, right? You know, it's the nature of the world. There are, let's say in Ireland, you have 5 million people odd, and people will have all sorts of opinions, and just people will say things that aren't true, right? I'm willing to accept that as a fundamental of life, is that people say things that aren't true, and word spreads about certain things sometimes. It never goes all the way. It's never like the entire country believes the thing that is completely without basis of any sort, right? And crazy, right? You know, there's a direct correlation between like how true or untrue something is versus how many people believe it. And rumors always exist in that space of rumorville, right? Let's say, I'm happy. Rumorville is a fact of life. And that's the way I see it. People say things that are untrue. I can't actually control all of that. You know, that's the nature of human beings. We're all different, and people will add in things. And for the most part, generally only the true stuff rises to kind of fruition or to the top. Because I talked about this last time, but it's just like, you know, you see something, you go, is that true or is it not? And you figure it out and whatever. And when it's really true, then everybody goes, oh, it's actually confirmed, right? Confirmed by multiple different people in multiple different ways. It hasn't, you know, whatever. I'm finding it hard to express myself on this. There's a kind of fundamental nature to human beings as different people, and not as one big collective kind of top-down mush, is that people will have rumors, and that's kind of the way it is. In the same way as I kind of wouldn't want, and never mind, I was going for a bad analogy there, but You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the world, and what these people are trying to pretend is that it's not the nature of the world or something. It's just some kind of aberration that needs to be corrected and controlled for. And I'm like, no, that starting premise is wrong, and they know it's wrong. And I feel like it is the state trying to crack down on this for good, like their own good reasons, which I will demonstrate in just a second. By the way, if you're kind of getting a bit, he's going off on the smoke here, he's getting a bit mad, right? I have just a clip in a sec that I want to play for you, just to kind of add a little bit of muscle to this, to make it feel a little bit more like I didn't just see a tweet and go mad and start coming up with ideas and arguing with myself. There's a little piece of video here from Leo Varadkar today, which kind of gives a little bit of credence to what I'm saying. So God, I could go on and on. Fucking hell. My point about the epistemology of rumors, to make it sound a bit highfalutin, just this thing like it's going to be there. Oh, one quick point as well. I'm talking about it to assume all the rumors are false. I'm saying even if a lot of those rumors were false, I would still want them to kind of just be allowed to exist, like, because it's just human nature, and it exists within a broader sphere of things where there is room for plenty truth, to emerge higher. It usually does, right? In the end, at least, given some room to do so. But I'm speaking about it like, I'm doing the whole even if they were all false thing, but that's unfair because it's not like they're all false, right? I didn't prepare the information here. I didn't expect to go this direction with it, but you had a few weeks ago, there was a letter from, I think, a school in Glasnevin, maybe, and it was about a school closure, the first school closure, something like that, and a letter was released. The HSE decided to stay quiet about it, thinking it was a thing you could keep quiet. Obviously, you couldn't. Parents started posting the letter they had received from the HSE because they have phones, they have apps. Come on, right? HSE should have just said it, but that's not the point. The letter was released by people, and everybody started seeing it and going, well, that looks like a real letter. I've seen it here. I've seen somebody else share it. I'm hearing from people in Glasnevin, like, again, journalists cringe when they hear this, but it's like, well, my friend's friend, which isn't an illegitimate category. You have a friend who you trust. They have a friend who they trust. They heard something. It doesn't mean it's rock solid, but it could be true. I kind of hear that and I go, I mean, I trust my friend, and my friend trusts his friend, and he heard it. I'm not going to bet my life on it, but like, that could be true. Like, I'm probably is, to be honest, right? So that's the way it worked. So there were multiple coordinating sources on it, and the HSE letter looked really real. So you start to think it would have to be really elaborate for this kind of not to be true, right? For all of these coordinating sources and the letter and everything, people were going, okay, so that's the information now we have. This thing is true unless disputed otherwise. The journalists come in and go, this is rumor, this is rumor. This letter is fake. The HSE say this letter is fake. Stop spreading rumors and all of that, right? Don't believe your lying eyes kind of thing. And then soon enough, or maybe the next day, I'm loose on the details here a little bit because was it the next day? Was it that evening? Whatever, right? It's not important. But the same journalist came back saying, actually, the HSE letter was real. So that's real. We're reporting to you now. We're telling you now, even though you knew days ago and we were the ones. And there was no kind of mea culpa of like saying, hey, that's the nature of the world. People get things wrong. Information moves and it changes and it becomes more true as it emerges, as time goes by. Same. And my point is that that's the same for you guys as it is for us guys. You know what I mean? You get things wrong. And I wouldn't normally say there's something wrong with that, except for the one you're saying there's something wrong with that. We could just as easily turn that and say, you were peddling fake news. You should be controlled and banned and censored and all of this stuff or whatever. And it's a danger to our democracy and all that. No, you just got something wrong. But here's the key thing. They got it wrong because they didn't go off and do a multivariate kind of analysis of it all. They just had the HSE tell them and they believed it. Whereas the people in the rumor world, Rumorville, were saying, nah, this all lines up. I think the HSE are lying about this. I think they're hiding this. And it turned out the Rumorville people were right. They were right. And they kind of knew they were right. And common sense told you it was right. But the journalists were tricked out of their common sense because they were so at the behest of the HSE, of the institution, the centralized government institution. And that's the relationship, which I want to get onto a little bit more. That's the play there. They are linked to the institutions themselves way too tightly. to the point where they're not quite a fourth estate. They go to a press conference, they relay the information. This many died today from coronavirus. I gave it on to you just here as well. That's whatever. That's press release stuff, right? But in terms of really challenging institutions and going in with an attitude of maybe they're lying to me, maybe this isn't all quite the way through. And whose side am I on? Am I a public information deliverer from HSC? And not only that, but also a narrative controller and a public discourse controller. So I won't just give the information down, I'll control what they're doing too for the HSE on behalf of them. Or do I work for the people and in general, kind of testing the HSE and keeping them to task, keeping them honest? Which one is it? And the way they're behaving, it's not very clear. The other situation was recently, there's this whole thing going around about Last True Gale says, if you're going to write something, write it more cleanly. Don't want Garrow's channel picking up an algorithm or whatever. Again, it's like, if you want to talk about something that's controversial or whatever, look, there's plenty of ways to talk about something or whatever. I'm not trying to censor whatever people want to talk about. It's not about censorship or you can't, whatever. It's just, don't wreck my channel. Don't bring it down. I'd rather stay on here if I can, just, it's not the only place you can talk about things, put it that way. If you really want to talk about something, go somewhere else. Maybe that's a bit more able to handle that, like another website or whatever, you know what I mean? Or write a WordPress on it or whatever, but this doesn't necessarily have to be the place where you have to spill out the most explicit this, that, or the other fact about whatever, right? So please, 2 seconds there. I'm just going to make someone a mod there as well. Oh God, it's rushing away from me. Irish Times, get on it. I slipped up. That's my point, is that they work on that side. So what was the other one? The other one was, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. The idea that they actually increase death rate or how much people are affected by COVID-19, and French authorities have said something or other, and maybe that turned out to be not true. I'm not sure. It's all kind of in flux at the moment. But the basic idea was that those things reduce inflammation. Therefore, I think I'm no doctor, right? Might reduce kind of a fever, and fever is a natural immune or kind of response to expel maybe virus loads from the body, something like that. I don't know, right? But there was a moment of caution. Fergal Bauer's health correspondent came out saying it's reporting from the HSE saying it's untrue and it's evil. So we're getting into church morality now. We're getting into full-on biblical satanic versus like angelic forces and everything here, right, to do with whether something's true or not. But meanwhile, you had Colette Brown reporting it from The Guardian, who were meant to be a bona fide media outfit, saying that COVID-19 patients should beware of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So you had one regime journalist saying one thing, the other saying the other thing. Apparently, the French health minister, I don't know, maybe that turned out not to be true, I don't know, but apparently he was saying one thing, The Guardian saying one thing, like I say, Fergal Bowers and the HSC saying another, and all of that, right? And I kind of go, here, we have it all in a nutshell here. There's, God, I phrased it in a tweet last night, and it's kind of a good way. Is it cringe for me to look at my phone and read my own tweet back to myself? Especially when it's not loading very fast. I'm not going to find it. But the point is, I can kind of rehash it, is that, like, don't be going around policing people for going through information and working with messy incoming inputs that aren't quite clear yet. Don't harass people for entertaining those and playing with them and saying, this is coming from here, I heard this, or whatever. And then later, maybe it becomes clear, oh, it's not true actually, or whatever. When you guys still have your arses completely hanging out. You did it once with the letter, you did it twice between you with the anti-inflammatories thing or whatever, right? It's like, it's the same nature of information that everybody else has to play with, and that's that. So let me know if I'm going on about that too much. The day when you actually go, yes, you are, I'll fucking punch my computer. I won't, but I might. I'm enjoying Emmanuel Godson's comments here. They're quite important commentary here. This last one, I think it had to be said. Anyway, So I've talked about that, the information thing, and I want to back it up a little bit. That's all I got to do here. I'm still on screen share. I should have gotten that off. Anyway, it's around 5 minutes. What's his name? Varadkar says something here. The timestamp is hard to get exactly because the way they list the time. Okay, so volume on, mic over to the computer. Just pay attention to this, chat and everybody. Okay, so.
Couple of weeks and couple of months in all the different sectors.
Sorry, by the way, this is Varadkar today. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, Irish Taoiseach Prime Minister, whatever, right? Taoiseach, speaking about coronavirus today and giving these updates, blah, blah, blah. And he just made this little point here.
Sectors ranging from banking to healthcare to social protection, to you name it. There is going to be a renewed focus on communications.
Communications, right? We're getting into that already.
COVID-19 is more than a health issue. It's affecting the economy and society in so many different ways. So there's a responsibility on us as government to make sure that the public gets the right messages and the truth. And we know there's been a fair bit of fake news and fake expertise and false facts out there in the last couple of weeks. We know we have a responsibility.
Okay, we're getting to the major point now. So ears really pringed up now, like sticking out, patronizing the audience. Classic.
To make sure that people get lots of information and accurate information. And I know that you as the professional media are going to help us in that regard. So the professionals who can't work out the
anti-inflammatory thing, which is a big thing, right? Because if you've rheumatoid arthritis or something, you do want to be taking them. But if you have COVID-19, you don't want to be taking them. And it's a thing, and it's unclear. But they were, you know, and again, my problem wasn't that they got it wrong. They got it wrong while they were scolding other people for things are in flux. And that was my problem. If you're going to have this moral, Walshy asks, why are they always obsessed with the fake news narrative? Because they are the news, I think. This is all just my opinion. I'm not being like, I'm giving you the truth. You know, I know everything. It's just my opinion. It's not so I can't pull out a statistic to back it up and say it's true or it's not true or something like that, right? It's just a perceptional kind of thing through experience and an opinion. Is that they obviously are the news. They see themselves as the news, and there is this competing information. And like I said a while ago, I do believe the news are kind of in the symbiotic relationship with the state itself. So to have this kind of could you say Wild West or unregulated kind of force outside needs to be, it's both competition and a threat. That's how I feel about it. But just to so Varadkar, yeah, okay, I'll just get back to the video and let it speak for itself. Like I was saying, the lads, yeah, given the lectures and they got caught out. This is the professional media Varadkar's talking about, whatever, no big deal.
Probably never needed a professional public service orientation media more than we have at the moment.
So here Varadkar talking very fondly of, thank you so much. We've never needed a public professional, what does he even say? Public service oriented media. That doesn't necessarily mean public service oriented media is that it both, yes, will be somewhat responsible, but will also challenge the existing powers. So, you know, again, the only real time the Varadkar or Coveney were challenged in the last couple of weeks was by this lady. I've forgotten her name. The doctor, the cool doctor on Primetime, the lady who chewed up Simon Coveney, right? And there was a reason everyone was like, wow, when they saw that, they went, she is fierce, right? Because there was a lack of that. People just saying, why don't we stop these flights, stop this travel, stop this? It just seems like common sense. I may just be some commenter on WhatsApp, right? But it seems to make sense to me. Of course, there was the other thing, this whole thing of we need to, suddenly now it's just like, oh, half of the country is going to get it or whatever, right? I think the reality for the last few weeks since all this emerged that they realized is that, and I think it's true, I don't blame them for having this opinion, but that basically a lot of people are going to get this pandemic. There's going to be no vaccine or anything for it, and there's no way to stop it. You close the borders or whatever, you only do that so long. Eventually it gets in. It's about when you get your peaks. I'm no genius talking about this. You've heard about flattening the curve and all that, right? That's just the reality of it. And when you think about it, it's a bit depressing. It's a bitter pills to swallow, right? That's what it is. And I just think the government, obviously they knew this 2 or 3 weeks ago when they were saying everything's fine, whatever, right? We needed a media then to get leaks on them, to get this, to get that, to tell the public, hey, here's what's going to happen. Because I think the state should have been just saying it anyway. Full transparency. This is what we're going to have to go through. It's called tough shit. There's nothing we can do about it. You can blame us all you want. You can replace us with a different government, whatever. The facts will remain the same. This is what needs to be done. We're going to need to basically get this. I'm sorry. But they've been managing it where they're like, we will release this much information this day and that day. And they've clearly, the reason I think they didn't stop the flights was because these epidemiologists told them that you actually need to actively let in this much, because while we don't want the peak to go over what our health system can handle, we don't want it to actually not happen at all, because then it's just going to happen at a higher frequency at a later date, which will be worse. So we need to spread the peaks over 3 different peaks or something like that, right? That's just my take. So they were like, not only do we actively don't want to stop this, we need to bring it into a certain extent, and then we pull the handbrake, we shout stop, and it'll keep happening for a while, but we'll reduce it through like extreme public health measures, people stay home, whatever, the whole lockdown thing, right? And they have that planned. I think this is what I think, right? My feeling, for a certain time at a certain point on the graph, and they have it all done, right? And I think that's fine, that if that's state policy to maybe try to keep that secret for the public calm or whatever, but it's not the media's job. The media, what he's effectively saying there between the lines is that the media, thank you for working with us with all this, because we don't want these WhatsApp groups and all this stuff, right? So the media are like us working in the public service to keep the narrative pretty well, right? My point is like, listen, if the government are on the up and up and they're doing a perfect job in it, and it genuinely is better for the public not to know, and all of that stuff, then fine. Well, not fine, but they could make that argument. But as a member of the public, you kind of go, yeah, but what if? And it's not a big if, it's a easy if, because it's a possible if. What if it's not the right thing to do? What if it's not wise? What if it's whatever? What if there's some form of even the wilder conspiracies, whatever, right? What if people just deserve to know as people that, okay, I have a few days left here, and that's what my point is just that if you don't have a fourth estate, you're kind of in trouble. And here's my final point on this, is that it's one thing for the government to run. Yeah, it should be grand. How are you doing for sound? Can you hear me? If not, I'm just going to have to end it. Sound? Am I back? Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I was going to start like rehearsing my private poetry collection there because you couldn't hear me. I'm afraid my mic is going to go. Just let me check. Very unprofessional now. I can't really see the light on the battery. Oh yeah, it's very low. Okay, I'm probably just going. Oh, that's a pity. I might just have to leave it there. I mean, I could go to my mic because my battery is actually run low. It runs on batteries, which is a little bit of a balls, and I don't want it to die on you again, which it may. So I don't know what to do. 5x5, yeah. I can keep going, and if the if it goes again, I mean, I could try to change the batteries on it. If I did a battery change, would he hate me? Would it be unprofessional? Let me know if I did a battery change, because there's a bit more to be done. To be honest, I'm not done. I know I'm back, but it's probably going to go again. Keep an eye on the chat. Critique says. Should I do the batteries? Yeah. I don't know. It's weird being live because you kind of feel like there's a bit of panic. Like if you stop for a few seconds, there's going to be this pandemonium and it's awful or something like that. Oh man, it's even worse. Oh my god. My mic has sellotape all over it. Anyone on Twitter knows that I posted recently that my mic is fucked and I have to oh, this is such a disaster. It's unreal. It's unreal. Okay. Or well, it's not a disaster, it's grand, but it's like it's gotta find like fucking scissors to take this off. Yeah. How's my sound, guys? Am I there? Nothing? Am I back? Oh, I'm good. Okay. So that audio is not going to be as good as the mic itself, but I'm here. So I don't know where you lost me, or where I lost you, but it's good to be back. I really wouldn't like to end it now because I was kind of on a bit of a roll. It's nice I don't have to have that next to me as well. So just gonna get rid of that. Off center, stage left, whatever. So yeah, I was talking about this WhatsApp thing. Basically, I hope I've made my point there a little bit, that like between the kind of Radker thing, and you could say I'm clutching at straws. I don't know, like that I'm reaching a bit. Talk about the beard, my beard, or another one. Anyway, look, but between this whole suggestion that fucking hell, sorry now. There we go. Okay, so this whole idea that WhatsApp, too many rumors on WhatsApp could lead to authorities restricting it. It bothers me. It really, really does. And it kind of, beard gravitas, someone says. Daft Punk headphones. I know, yeah. Nice set of cans, as Sam Hyde said. But nice Casio watch as well, yeah. I like the classics like this. But and it's cheap. But yeah, it's worrying, and it makes me think about the kind of, I was going off a little bit on the idea of the empty conspiracy theory, the idea that if you say Bill Gates and you say Bill Gates and you say the Washington Post and you say whatever in the same sentence with a kind of a knowing tone, then ergo there's this conspiracy. I don't like that, because it's like, even if it is true, I'm going to be more annoyed because you convinced me so poorly that that it's a shame. And you could say I did that too with drawing my connections here a little bit. But what I'm just saying is there's a general phenomenon, as opposed to this like outlandishly like massive directly connected and like drawn up conspiracy. I was kind of railing against them, but I kind of have this conflicting feeling now, because if they want to ban rumors on WhatsApp and all that, then I get worried, because I'm like, on one hand, it's people who think the virus isn't real and whatever, and it's this and it's that and it's this and this, and I'm reluctant to give it or proof of it, and kind of get angry at you when you maybe ask for a little bit more for it. We can kind of get caught between that and the other side wanting to ban WhatsApp rumors, when we need the ability. If the journalists aren't going to do it and the state aren't going to do it, and the state and the media will have a cozy relationship with which 90% of the time it might be legit and they're in the best interest. But for when it's not, I want my WhatsApp rumors. I want that ability to be able to express it, and I feel threatened. And that's my only point. I'm not saying there definitely is this conspiracy of any description. I'm just saying insofar as if they are, so if in a week's time, my point about them getting really head up about the WhatsApp thing, starting to talk about regulation during a crisis and all this stuff, right? Then you can say, well, I was a bit more right than it seemed, or whatever, and we can escalate the threat level. I'm just putting it out there now so that it's the kind of general, my feelings are known on it, and maybe if you might think of it in a similar way, maybe you do too. I'm seeing the chat go wild here on like colloidal silver and wheatgrass and all this stuff. I have vitamin D and zinc. I'm sure there's plenty more, but I've decided to leave it at 2 things and roll the dice after that. But yeah, that's just my point on that. So watch that happen and see what happens with that. Oh, I just realized now I'm going to run into a little bit of trouble, because I want to play the video for. Oh, I could do it this way. I want to play. So I'm going to be doing this while I'm talking to you. God, you're having a good time in the chat anyway. You don't need me. I want to play the Burkean video for you. But see, StreamYard doesn't let you play audio through the desktop. You basically have to play it out loud and put the mic up near it, and that'll only work with this mic. So that could be an issue. Or I could just play the video and you can watch it with me if you haven't seen it, and just enjoy it, because that's kind of all I have left, really. I mean, I just wanted to make those points. I didn't want to make it too long. How many people in the chat have seen the Burkean video? It's about Roisin O'Loughlin or Roisin something or other. Just talk to me in the chat there as I struggle. Sound is okay. Yeah, the sound is okay, but if I want to play the video and kind of interact with it, I need the actual mic I was using a while ago. Yeah. Oh, so you have all seen it. Now I feel like a latecomer. I mean, is it worth going through then? I'm making success here, lads, with the mic, but won't happen again, I swear. Yeah, I want to see it. Basically, I mean, the only value of you watching it with me here is just for one, the hangout, And for 2, I actually haven't seen it. I genuinely haven't. And if it's really funny, then I'm going to kind of be reacting to it, like legitimately, and I hope it is funny. Okay. This really does make it like a hangout because I'm actually doing stuff. I'm not like, hi everybody, welcome to the stream. Smash like. Let me know your thoughts. Do let me know your thoughts. Sorry, I do appreciate them. You know, I don't mean to be sarcastic about it. Okay, so we're getting there with my sellotapey mic stand. Yeah, I want to watch the video. I think it'd be fun. Do you know? So yeah, so so just to talk about with this Roisin, I think her name is. This is the Roisin with the Joe Loughnane in Galway and blah 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 blah. I'm worried I will say something untrue about her. You know, I don't want to do that either, necessarily. But I would have all sorts of opinions about her and her type that would not be allowed on YouTube, I would say. They wouldn't be cool. Christ. Yeah, she threw a milkshake over Justin Barrett. I mean, that's basically the long and short of it, isn't it? And loved it. And it's just this generation of like Sinn Féin Ogra or whatever they're called. And Antifa and all of them. They are genuinely sad. Truly, truly sad. I feel. You know, what's the point? What are they fighting for necessarily? In their youthful kind of zeal and all of that. But yeah, maybe a bit more housing or whatever, fair enough. But like, what's the actual future that they want? It's I don't know. I don't see much to it. So I'm gonna mess with the mic again now. I'm actually surprised, lads, that you are, unless I'm seeing the screen wrong, you're actually all still here. So that's pretty sound. You didn't leave me. So. Okay, another sound check. I should be on the actual mic now. Am I okay? It would have just changed. How's that? Sound check. 5x5. Oh, you can hear me. Cool. I can lose these then. Excellent. Okay, and now I will make sure the audio plays. The speaker plays through the normal speaker. And let's do a little check on that with the Burkean thing. Yes, boy. Recovered it. I recovered it like an absolute boss. I was gone there for a sec. I was getting nervous and I felt like, oh man, this is going to be, everyone's going to laugh at me and everything. Critique to saying, Garrod, you don't need to mic the video. When you select the tab, click play audio at the bottom. Do you know what? I've dawdled for long enough. Tell me in the chat after, or I'll get on to you because I would love to know. But look, it basically works for now, so I won't take you any longer trying to figure stuff out. Yeah. See, I don't want to. I kind of almost did it last time. I started to take the piss out of people personally, which is easy to do. I'm sure people could take the piss out of me, but I don't want to. But it's so hard to resist. Oh man, you know. But like, I can't. I just can't do it, lads. Maybe at some point, if I get kicked off everything, and I'm like a marginal, nothing to lose, whatever, just madman, I'll do that for the crack. I'll get cynical and bitter about it. But anyway, I haven't heard this. Roisin, she's been elected to some SU thing. She is like Sinn Féin, Ogra, blah, 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 blah. Does political violence against people. And Burkean have honeypotted her, so...
Hey.
Hi, Roisin, is it?
Yeah.
Hi, Ryan from Irish Students Against Fascism. You have a few minutes to talk, yeah?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, first off, thanks very much for the work you've done so far. But
No bother.
that was very good work. That was you with Barrett and the milkshake, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, it smells so good. Like honestly, like amazing.
Yeah, like
She's a Nordy of some description. I didn't know that. I've never actually heard her voice.
it's the small things. Like we can, obviously coming from an anti-fascist perspective, we can go after their employers and whatever, but that is the most satisfying aspect, is sort of small things. But yeah, who we are and what we're doing. We're a group of sort of left Republican, sort of like left types, and we're active on sort of campuses around Ireland, North and South. And what we're specifically doing is building a database, building a network in sort of civil society and among journalists, and accumulating names, accumulating info, getting meetings wherever possible shut down, approaching employers, and creating a sort of like a network between like journalists, civil societies, and whatever to like nip these people in the bud. And obviously, you guys and sort of NUIG and Galway, you seem to have a sort of great network, and we really want to sort of integrate and sort of cross-pollinate with what you guys do about Nogra and whatever. But that's what we do and what we aspire to do. I think we also have a blog up to sort of have individual pages for each sort of fascist activist, and just link their sort of employers, and just basically harass these people, and maybe if it's a case to get physical with these people, do so. But yeah, that's basically what we're aspiring to do.
See this like database or whatever you have of like the far-right activists. That you have many. Like if you don't have like, do you want me and like obviously whoever else you're involved with to like send you on people as well?
Yeah. So centralize it. Centralize in a blog. Share it around the sort of local activists. So like in Queens, for example, we have a few guys involved sort of loyalism. The more extreme loyalism, and obviously make them famous, pass on to employers, whatever. But what sort of contacts would you have about?
Okay, I'm not talking about her necessarily, right? I don't know what she wears. I can't see her clothes there. But do any of you get the thing? The attractive thing for young lads, or maybe it's not, but it appears to be. By the way, if you judge like the way a certain set of women dress as being maybe appealing to their equivalent men in some description. Now, a feminist would say we don't dress for men or whatever, right? But let's face reality. The thing seems to be the heavy makeup, the eyebrows, the kind of all the faces kind of look the same face basically, and very dark, and then have you seen those kind of, I don't know how to describe them. If anyone can describe them in the chat, it's the kind of clothes that start to look like some kind of BDSM kind of semi-Greek kind of weird kind of like parts of the clothes missing, and I don't know. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? There's a certain type of attract. I don't want to get into like this whole smash or pass thing, right? But I have my type. We all have our type. But it's kind of like there's something very cheap about it, and there kind of looks like there'd be a smell off them. Maybe a smell of cigarettes, maybe a smell of Red Bull or Fanta, and Tesco vodka. And it's just kind of rank, and you feel like if you touched them, you'd kind of get stained, and there's just this kind of ill health. The big thing to me is health, right? I'm not like so healthy myself or any of that, like beaming with it, but just the big thing of beauty to me, female beauty, is like, a kind of a, you're going to mock me for this kind of stuff, but like a nice face, nice eyes, healthy and kind of female and whatever and all of that. But this kind of weird, like, I don't know what to call it. I have a word actually that I also can't say on YouTube, but they look like some kind of a small, weird little puppet thing. There's something weird about it. To me, they kind of look like clowns, or kind of like maybe drag queens, but not a normal drag queen, like a drag queen that would be in a horror film. If you turned on the light at night and it was standing in the corner, there'd be horror film music. And that's the kind of vibe I get off them. And I genuinely think the chances of washing all of this off and just being plain and simple, the odds of being much more attractive probably would heighten quite a bit. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this matter. But back to the Burkean thing.
Sort of NUIG and sort of Galway
What do you mean?
in the sort of anti-racist scene.
Oh, I'm regularly in, and you know,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. That's okay.
pretty good contact.
Okay. It's you're still on speaking terms, but yeah. Obviously, over Sinn Féin, like for ourselves, we've contacts with more sort of physical force Republican types. But would you yourself and anyone you go grab, would they have like people you could call if it gets physical?
Yeah, defo.
Okay.
Defo.
Obviously, if you want to send them out about sort of getting in contact with us about like maybe having these people on speed dial, just if need be.
Yeah.
So if you want to spread the word to them, just like on the grapevine, because obviously,
Yeah, will do.
just in terms of people, like what kind of like what I assume dissident Republican or Republican physical force types.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's enough, Grant, if you want to spread the word in the grapevine. But
Yeah, I will.
obviously you mentioned very interested in sort of getting in contact with him. I think great sort of organization we'd love to work with.
Yeah.
But you're happy to sort of pass on aims or help us sort of like we're working with a few groups to sort of centralize a lot of work we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to help us out, but
it's kind of like pulling teeth with this one. I mean, I would say she's suspicious or something. Maybe it's like the last one, whatever her name was, the SU. Oh, Laura Beston. I had this theory that there was a bit of suspicion starting to creep in. Maybe that's it. But it's just, if it's not that, then it is like pulling teeth here. Like this conversation is, the honeypot guy is doing okay, but like, let's see where it goes.
Well, hopefully.
I know him.
Yeah,
he's not very. He's like all talk though, isn't he?
He does some good research. He did a very good Twitter thread, but I know if only that, or just like getting info on people. Just you mentioned sort of projects that like OGRA are planning out in the NUIG. What would they be?
Yes, like just like like activism type, but we're gonna do a sit-in. It's just like I don't know if you heard like the gym in NUI Galway, like it's just like it's a complete rip-off. So we're gonna do a sit-in, and we're actually gonna like obviously low key, but we're planning on occupying a house.
Okay.
Like we have,
Okay, that's.
Stay tuned.
Okay, and on the more sort of anti-fascist, anti-racist scene.
I love the way the honeypot guy, even in character, he can't help himself just being like kind of like, oh right, like we're going to occupy the gym because it costs too much. Like I know occupy the gym. Yeah, it's mad. That sounds like boredom or something to me. And I'm not this anti-socialist guy. Like I actually like people standing up to, you know what I mean, bank charges or this or that, or mortgages, rent, landlords, this, that, everything else. All sorts of exploitation or usury of many descriptions. Sure, but the gym, come on, man. Like the gym, there are various gyms around. Shop around. I don't know. There's a point where like even if I'm trying to be the woke anti-capitalist, I have to say, listen, there are times and places for capitalism, and one of them probably is the gym. I'm sorry, like just go to a different one. Run around the field. Do star jumps. Come on, it's you're not stuck here. Like, but I love the way he's like, okay, he just wants to get her back on track. The gym. My God, if any of you saw the expose on Joe Loughnane. By the way, Joe Loughnane, I was in Uachtarard filming that from the back. I was like, filming the meeting as I used to do a bit, and everybody on every side of me was a local. Some of them were looking at me suspiciously even, but I just thought I'm going to do this anyway. Whatever, trust me, I'm on your side. Didn't know any of them. Random husbands, wives, young kids, whatever, granddads. Didn't know a soul there. I was the only person there I knew, if that makes sense. And I think I could be wrong, whatever, right? But I think he saw maybe me filming at the back, because when he was on RTE gave him a completely uncritical platform. This guy appears to be a lunatic, in my opinion, right? They're giving him this platform, right? And meanwhile, I'm meant to be, I got, like, not to be egotistical about this, right? But me and you guys and this whole kind of thing, right? Must have gotten to like 60 different articles written about us in the mainstream newspapers in the like few months after that. But he was on RTE, no problem. And one of his lines was that there was a large cohort of far right, and they were at the back of the room. They were all taking up all the back of the room, and that's where all the applause lines for the racist bits were coming from. And that's where they all were, and that's where all the din about, applauding Noel Grealish and stuff was coming from. I think, in my humble opinion, I think that maybe he saw me there recording and he thought, if I can ascribe it all to the back of the room, then maybe the noise that travels to the camera from the entire room can be passed off as back of the room. And also Garrod was there, so I can say he was with a big gang, a big bunch of guys in leather jackets, skinheads, just like walking in like a biker gang from like Home and Away, when you see a show like that, Home and Away or something like that, and the bad guys come in, leather jackets, cigarettes, motorbikes, right? No, it was just me, right? It was completely just me. And it's so strange to be in a position where you know for a fact, because you have your own eyes and brain, you know for a fact what the situation was, and you're looking at someone. I have to be careful of using the word lying, I don't want to defame or whatever, or have to give someone this excuse to, like, I don't even know how the defamation law works in this country. I just don't want to leave any room for it. So something like, to see someone, and it's not like I'm making this up, by the way, I'm just trying to be, I'm overly paranoid about this stuff, because Ireland is very weird. Is that to see someone on the news saying something that about a situation that you know for a fact yourself. It's one thing when you read online and you go like, Russiagate isn't true, but it's a distant kind of thing. But to have been right there and go, I know, that's not true, and you're just saying it, and you're saying it with such a manner. It was just unreal. I remember thinking, this guy, like, and then I heard him on all different radios and all this, and since he's been ejected from everything, basically. I mean, not a great guy, it turns out, but he was good enough for RT. But I am the terrible far this, far that person, right? Use the word allegedly. Everything is allegedly. This pen is allegedly, right? Everything's allegedly. But yeah, that's Joe Loughnane, like, and they were, I think, allegedly in a romance. That was said online. It was an alleged thing, but I have no idea about that. But anyway, whatever. I'll play the video.
Are you of any sort of action planned, or?
No, not planned. Like, it kind of just, like, you see, we're doing a big protest outside Noel Grealish's office. Mm-hmm. But, like,
Chad.
just kind of play by ear,
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like, something will come.
With no milkshake at the hand.
Yeah, it's, where did you actually get the milkshake? Was it actually there?
Yeah.
Okay. They've horrible bathrooms, but they'd be useful for something. But how many guys would you guys plan on hand, just numbers wise? Between Ogre altogether.
In Galway, Ogre, we have like 20 to 30, and then like there's loads, and like, there's about 20 active, but like on a broader spectrum, there's like 100.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Like, that's a good phone book. In terms of any contacts in journalism, I know you yourself after sort of harassment you got with the far right.
This is good. I'm excited for this bit. It might be anticlimactic. We'll see, but I'm excited.
You were in contact with. Would you have any sort of? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Would you have any contacts with sort of journalism? Like, we're sounding at sort of like lines, solid left voices in sort of journalism ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's the one that's on that story by me after the milkshake, and like, he's actually a really nice man. He's really kind. He'd be pathetic, like, anti-racism and stuff. And my best friend's actually doing a master's in journalism, so she's always like looking for stories.
Yeah, just like for ourselves, we have a few stories that we're looking to break, a few projects we're running. But what's the name of those two journalists? Just so if they're solid.
One of them, so I can send you his name and like his profile and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other one.
Okay, yeah. If you want to send my name or say that
I'd love to know. Who knows? You might come out.
There's a potential relationship between us and them that we could cultivate. Like we have a few student journalists that we're getting involved with. But any names, any journalists, any people in civil society, I think I'm hoping to reach out with the.
Yeah. You got his number? I'm in contact with him.
I was talking about for Twitter, but if you want to send it on and message him that we're looking to have a phone call, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, we're just working with a few sort of student groups, very, very solid, just for reference.
Yeah, good. There's a few blue shirts in there, like.
Yeah, there's a few liberals, but there's a few solid, I won't mention names, but there are a few solid left people that are helping out. But in terms of any other names or resources, obviously put us in contact to any sort of more physical force types, put it that way. Certainly put us in contact with.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I always talk to them on Twitter, and just any sort of those two journalists.
A lot of beeps here, lads. A lot of beeps. Hard to know what's going on with this one, but it's good.
Anything, and obviously Ireland is a small country that we can kind of mobilize sort of civil society against them. Obviously, in anti-fascism we can do the legal stuff that journalists can't, but
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, anything we can do for you, or?
Not at the minute, but sure, I'll let you know.
Okay, we've a few lads hanging around sort of NUNG, but if need be, if there's another fascist event, So any names, numbers, contacts.
Yeah, what was that event?
Just of course, ethically, you guys in Over are okay with getting physical with people,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So send on those names. I'm sure we'll be in contact again. We go to talk. Rather, but yeah, anything we can do for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Pleasure talking to you anyway.
You too. Good chat.
Cool. Yeah. Send on any names, numbers, any ideas. Obviously, any friends in journalism, we're happy to reach out to as a conduit.
Yeah.
But yeah, pleasure talking to you.
Okay.
Hey.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.
She wasn't really up for it. As you can see, YouTube is telling me to watch Douglas Murray. I watched the Morgoth's review video earlier, and I got put straight onto who was it? It might have been Sean Hannity. It's unreal. It's surreal to be watching that, and it actually tells you a lot about the Trump thing as well. They kind of beating the Trump for him is insane. It's gone to cult-like levels. And I was, I was a Trump fan or whatever. And he's likable and everything, but it's mad. Anyway, this video, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, she didn't give too much, whatever. It's kind of the usual with her. But really, this clip, I don't know, maybe you didn't want to tell me this. Maybe, obviously, I wanted to watch the whole video. But if I could go back, someone says she's so boring. That's your opinion. I think everybody is equal. But realistically, this video was mostly whatever. But the bit that was valuable was really valuable. So in essence, this video could, in theory, be clipped down to a 15-second bit, and that's it. So within the video, there's a bit that matters enough for it, big time. As if there was any doubt, just to have her admit the kind of coyly admit the, oh yeah, I did that. It was very enjoyable. The milkshake thing is a big deal. If someone says everyone isn't equally boring, I know, look, I'm messing around. I mean, it's just mad. Pick a journalist, pick someone, an Irish Times or a whoever. I don't know. I can't even think of one. I don't want to name one because I kind of give them credit. Name one here, an Irish Times blue check mark at random. I feel like I know who you're going to say as well. Oh, there's a Kitty Holland. Okay, so Kitty Holland. I saw her at the count, actually. I think I did anyway. Phil Dwyer, I was down covering his account and I saw her there, just walked by me. But Kitty Holland. If I just threw a milkshake over Kitty Holland, I mean, whether you're talking about the guards or whether you're talking about the media, the idea that I would just kind of do it and be like, and walk off from it, like, no, my life would be ruined between prosecution and between this and between that, and articles about threats to, like, now it's happening again. And of course, I'm not saying anything to do with identification. I'm satirically identifying myself with this, right? Just before the journalists do a quote, or the NGOs, they'd be saying, well, here we go with Kristallnacht. It's happening again, lads. It's happening again. First they come for the journalists, next it'll be the intellectuals and the this and the that. It's like, it's back. Sauron or Voldemort is back. This horrible forced violence being done to journalists for the freedom of thought. And oh my God, political violence has returned. What will we do? All that stuff. And I would be haunted by that, right? But this yoke gets to just do it willy-nilly. Just no bother. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's some Justin Barrett or National Party thing, like, working its way through the legal system. Probably end up being a bit of a, like anything you could report to the guards, usually. Kind of just like I had my car smashed into one day by an addict. And, I was just like, what happens now? That kind of thing. I don't want to go after an addict, but I was just like, what's the story now? And they're just like, well, you better contact your insurers. I'm sure you've all had maybe an experience of some sort like that, but I'm sure when it's Roisin and when it's Justin, it's a situation like that. It's standard Gardaí kind of levels of, like, it'll just run and it'll run. There'll either be a slap on the wrist or it'll just kind of fade away, or it'll take so long that whatever. But again, back to the Kitty Holland. If I did that over Kitty Holland, no, it'd be far, far different. Whether it's the legal thing or whether it's the pressure being brought to bear on me in all ways. And it would never go away, and all of this. And just that point of that, it would be this big narrative about the democracy is under threat. We must face it down now and all of this. But with them, it's nothing. Now, I usually don't like to kind of do the whole, if it was on the other side or whatever. It's kind of weak to say that kind of stuff. I usually don't, but it's just, it's hard not to make that point. So that's basically that, lads. Will I do a full screen to say goodbye? There we go. So the end. I want to do more Burkean streams, more coronavirus streams. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit. I have the evenings, and we're kind of not meant to be going out anyway, and everybody's locked at home. I might as well do these. And then the other question is what to talk about. Should I do a video on this deeply thought out thing, or one or another thing, highly prepared and edited and pre-recorded and stuff? But it's look, we have COVID-19 up our arses, right? And it's happening, and it's just this moment where you want to. I've been on to a few people talking about streaming and maybe a few ideas myself, and I'm like, how can I? I can't do that. I have the guitar. Serena's asking for a tune. I have the guitar. I'm not going to do it now, but one day I will. COVID-19 people. Sorry, I'm reading from the chat and confusing myself. COVID-19, maybe not every day, but whatever. Maybe whenever it's kind of right. Maybe every day, every 2 days, every 3 days. Whenever it feels there's a buildup of little bits. If there's a bit, I just have my thoughts. If a day or two goes by and I'm following a bit of news, I'll inevitably have a few thoughts in it beyond just there were 50 cases today or whatever and 1 dead. There's that for one thing, and then there's also just the rest of it, the kind of spin-offs or whatever, and there's all sorts of stuff to be thinking about that I'm going to be trying to pay attention to. So I might just keep doing whatever streams, and I might play a song for Serena as well, but that's basically it. If you get your nan to subscribe or whatever, I was going to make a dark joke there, coronavirus related. That's not cool at all. Anyway, what's on the post-it notes? I'll tell you. Someone asked me what's on the post-it notes. Is that Patriot? What's on the post-it notes? It's actually just stuff to do with I wonder, will the NGOs be zooming in on them now or whatever? do I sound paranoid? Hate speech law, Catholic Church versus nationalism, and then in brackets I have also prods. The idea that like the Catholic Church, like in the kind of not the Bible or any of that, the kind of what do you call it, the religion itself, but maybe the institution, the way it's gone is that it's actually anti-nationalist, and then also prods because also prods. And then I have Duterte. These are ideas that have never been fulfilled, right? Talking about Rodrigo Duterte, maybe. And then a painting for the wall, Emmanuel Godson. I'm loving the chat here. This thing would be fantastic. A painting of me doing the do it pose. And then I have here, I'll rip this one off. Oh, also, I actually gave it away. There's actually a kind of a stain on the wall that I don't have the same paint handy. And also, I'm not doing it now. No beard, no gravitas, someone says. But yeah, so it's they were actually somewhere else. And then I moved them because I was like, there's a bit of the wall I don't like. But the other one says, compare social credit. So I'm just going to tell you my ideas now in case you think any of them are good and I should do them. So it's the other idea, Patriot, you did ask me. The other one was compare social credit systems. So comparing, I'm not the first one to think of this idea, but comparing, everyone talks about the social credit system in China, how bad and authoritarian it is. And I just wanted to compare that to the Western informal social credit system. To the idea that you say a thing slightly off the reservation in one direction, and you lose your job, you lose your relationships, you lose your everything, all sorts of things, right? Potentially, right? There's ways and means, but that is always on the table, right? And people are keenly aware of it. Even people who aren't political know where those lines are, even though they have views in private. That's clearly a social credit system informally. So that was one. Green Room's telling me to do the church nationalism one. I know you did one based on that. Yeah, see, the reason I find it hard to do that is because I talk to like expert Catholics, right, who know their stuff inside out. And there's so much stuff. It's like you have to read this ecumenical matter, you know, that type of stuff from 1962 or whatever. And it's so much to go into. I'm like, I don't even know where to start, because they're like, oh, you have to listen to this and that and this and that. So it's a whole world to open up on. And I don't like making a video when I don't really know. I usually know things best through first-hand experience and perception or real experience of some sort. So this whole thing of poring over texts and learning something from scratch is, I don't know, maybe I'm just too dull to, pursue it. Is that another one was Sitka spruce? So the great replacement of Sitka spruce, the commercial replacement of native trees for profit, basically, for mass kind of industry. A history of landlordism in Ireland, because it's relevant now. We have Essex trafficking, so asylum seekers from Ireland trafficking women and slaves from Essex, making millions or lots of money off it. That was the thing I wanted to make something on. And then, something about editing clips or something. But that's my post-it anyway. You asked and I answered. And Niall says you can't be a nationalist and an atheist. I mean, it's an interesting. I'd be interested to hear it. If you wanted to stream with me, and it's not even like interested to debate it, because I'm kind of like, I'd be interested to talk about that in an open way, in a way that like people aren't trying to jump down each other's throats or like make demands of like, that, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a debate that should be had. I'm not saying people shouldn't debate vigorously, but like just like the whole mic repair tutorial. Lol. Yeah, I know. Apparently, so I have to pull the female insert. It's what they call it, like out of the mic and replace it, or I have to do some kind of DIY job on that. And I'm not amazing at that stuff, to be honest. So I'll figure it out. What was I on about? That Catholic nationalism thing. I mean, it's definitely an issue either way. Might as well have a look at it, figure it all out. So yeah, that's basically that. Hair check, lads. Hair check. It's gone. It's gone midnight, so the hair is gone. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the usual. Basically, all this coronavirus stuff. I have to emphasize it again. I really think the best thing you could do in all of this is just be at your healthiest. Doesn't mean you eat like a clean freak or whatever. Just, it's so basic and so like almost silly to me for me to say it, but just sleep decently, eat decently, don't stress out, be at a stage where like if you were to kind of get sick, you'd be giving it your best kind of self to go into, so you could ride out that 2 weeks or whatever, you know, and kind of come out better and fight it better. So that's all I have to say on that. And I'll do another one of these soon, and that's about it. And I'll think about the beard. I'll keep it growing in the meantime anyway, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, take it easy. See you next time. Bye.